Hi, in this GenRocket Solutions video, you're going to learn about 6 powerful, flexible, and essential GenRocket test data design patterns for synthetic test data generation. The 6 test data design patterns are pattern test data, realistic test data, sequential test data, random test data, edge case test data, and null test data. Let's take a look at each test data design pattern in detail. Pattern test data is synthetic test data that is non-realistic but generates a specific pattern and sequence of data. Realistic test data is synthetic test data that mimics realistic data and generates a pattern or category of sequential and random data. Sequential test data is synthetic test data that generates real data in a sequential pattern. Random test data is synthetic test data that generates real data in a random pattern. Edge case test data is synthetic test data that generates realistic or non-realistic data and creates edge cases specifically or randomly within the generated data. And null test data is synthetic test data that generates realistic or non-realistic data and creates null values specifically or randomly within the generated data. So let's go to the GenRocket Web Platform and see examples of these 6 test data patterns. The pattern attribute uses the GenRocket Simple Pattern Gen generator to produce pattern test data. The realistic attribute generates realistic addresses that are both sequential and random in pattern. The sequential attribute is synthetically generating real Social Security numbers in sequential order, while the random attribute is synthetically generating real Social Security numbers in random order. Now, in this particular example, the edge case attribute will use a set of linked generators to generate a pattern of edge cases by replacing the dashes within a Social Security number with a character randomly chosen from a finite list of characters, and does so every 4th iteration. It is the 4th and final generator of the linked generators, the edge case gen generator, that references 2 sibling linked generators to produce data in the form of the edge case test data design pattern. And lastly, the null value attribute uses GenRocket's %null attribute parameter options to generate a null value 50% of the time instead of a realistic Social Security number. So let's download a scenario generating 10,000 rows of data to an XML file and check out the results. At the command line prompt, we want to run the GenRocket data pattern scenario where it will generate 10,000 rows of test data to an XML file containing the 6 patterns of test data. The test data will be generated to a file aptly named patterndata.xml. When we look into the file, we can see how we were able to quickly and accurately define and synthetically generate each of the 6 patterns of test data. In summary, we have defined and demonstrated the use of 6 powerful, flexible, and essential GenRocket test data design patterns for synthetic test data generation. By using these 6 GenRocket test data design patterns, an infinite array of test data can be generated for solutions to your specific test data challenges. Thank you for watching this GenRocket Solutions video.